Hey everyone, and welcome. Let's talk about something that drives every gardener absolutely nuts. It's that moment when you're trying to water your plants, but the soil, well, it just refuses to drink. It seems impossible, right? But don't worry, the fix is actually way simpler than you might think.
You know exactly what I'm talking about, right? You go to give a thirsty plant a drink and the water just beads up. It sits there on the surface, or worse, it just rolls right off the sides of the pot. You keep pouring thinking, come on, it's gotta soak in eventually, but nope, the soil underneath stays completely, frustratingly dry. So what on earth is going on here? Why won't your soil drink?
Well, the easiest way to picture what's happening is to imagine this. Your soil is wearing a tiny, invisible raincoat. Seriously. And today, we're gonna figure out exactly how to take that raincoat off. For good.
Okay, so what is this invisible raincoat, really? It's not just a cute analogy, it's a real thing. It even has a scientific name. And it's all thanks to some pretty wild stuff happening at a microscopic level right there in your garden soil. The official term is hydrophobic soil. And the name says it all, right? Hydro for water and phobic for, well, fear. So you've literally got water-fearing soil. It's a condition where the individual particles of soil get this waxy coating all over them. And that waxy stuff actively repels water, pushing it away and making it bead up instead of soaking in. See, healthy soil is the complete opposite. It's what we call hydrophilic, water-loving. It's supposed to act like a big, beautiful sponge, just pulling that moisture in and holding onto it for your plant's roots. But our problem soil, it's doing the exact opposite. It's acting like that raincoat, shedding the very water it needs to survive. So the big question is, how does soil even get this raincoat? It doesn't just appear out of nowhere. It's actually a biological whodunit, you know? It's a side effect of life and death and decomposition happening in your garden. So let's put on our detective hats and unmask the microscopic culprits behind this waxy mess. It turns out there are usually three main suspects, all working together. First up, you've got waxy plant residues. Think about plants like pine trees or eucalyptus. Their needles and leaves have this natural waxy coating. As they break down in the soil, that wax gets left behind. Then you've got fungal activity. You know, fungi are great for breaking down organic matter, but as they do their thing, some of them can create their own water-repellent gunk. And finally, the real clincher is the drying cycle. If that waxy coating gets a chance to really dry out and harden, especially in sandy soil, it forms this super tough waterproof shield. And listen, this isn't just some weird, frustrating thing that happens. If you let it go, it can kick off a really dangerous downward spiral for your plants. This is way, way more than just a little annoyance. Here's why you've got to fix this. First, you get root desiccation. That's a fancy way of saying your plant's roots are literally dying of thirst because water just can't get down to them. That leads straight to nutrient lockout. See, plants can only drink their food. They absorb nutrients that are dissolved in water. So no water means no food. It's that simple. And to top it all off, you get erosion. All that water running off the surface, it's taking your precious topsoil right along with it.
Okay, so how can you know for sure if this is what's happening in your garden? Well, the good news is you don't need a PhD or some fancy lab equipment. You can play garden detective yourself with a super simple test that takes like 60 seconds.
It's called the water drop test, and it is dead simple. Here's what you do. Step 1, go grab a little bit of that dry problem soil. Step 2, just put it on a saucer or a small plate. Step 3, use a dropper or just your fingers to add a few drops of water right on top. And now for the important part. Step 4, watch it and see how long it takes for those drops to actually soak in. All right, ready to read the results? It's easy. If that water disappears almost instantly, like in under 5 seconds, hey, congratulations, your soil is healthy and happy. If it takes a little longer, maybe up to 10 seconds, you've probably got a mild case starting. But if that little bead of water is still just sitting there on the surface after a full minute, yep, you are definitely dealing with severely hydrophobic soil. Okay, so you've done the test, you've diagnosed the problem. Now comes the really satisfying part, breaking that waxy barrier. Let's talk about how to crack this case and get your soil back on track. So for a quick fix, like right now, first aid for your thirsty soil, you need what I like to call the soap solution. And it makes perfect sense, right? If the problem is a greasy, waxy coating, what do you always use to break down grease in your kitchen? Soap.
Now hold on, we're not talking about dumping dish soap on your plants, okay? We use a special product called a soil wetting agent, or a surfactant. The way these things work is just so cool. They're these tiny molecules where one end is designed to grab onto a water molecule, and the other end grabs onto that waxy coating on the soil. It basically acts like a bridge, breaking the water's surface tension and forcing it to spread out and finally soak in. And hey, if you're an organic gardener, don't worry. There are tons of great options out there made from natural stuff like agar or plant-based oils.
But remember, that's just first aid. It's a quick fix. If you want a real permanent cure, we have to think more long-term. The ultimate goal is to rebuild your soil into that beautiful, absorbent sponge that we know it's supposed to be. And here is the most important and kind of weird part of this whole thing. Remember how we said decomposing organic matter is what causes the waxy problem? Well, the cure is more organic matter, but it has to be fully finished, rich compost. Why isn't that a contradiction? It's because that finished compost is absolutely packed with beneficial microbes, and those little guys will happily go to work eating and breaking down those waxy residues for you over time. And a pro tip, if you have really sandy soil, mixing in a little bit of clay can work wonders too, just by giving the water more surface area to grab onto.
So when you really think about it, hydrophobic soil isn't just a defect or a problem. It's actually a signal. It's your garden's way of telling you that its natural balance is a little bit off. So the next time you see that water beating up on the surface, try not to get frustrated. Instead, just stop and ask yourself, what is my soil trying to tell me? Because really, understanding that conversation is the first, most important step to building a truly healthy, living, and absorbent garden.